Smyth's Weekly Property Tip. I'm Mark Madden, and joining us to talk all things Acreage is Stephanie C. Thanks for joining us, Steph. Steph's a fellow colleague in the sales team, but also specialises in large and rural. And so who better to talk to today about all aspects of rural, be it big, little or small. Steph, where we start? Lifestyle and small acres. So when we talk lifestyle, before we get into it, lifestyle means 2,000 metres, 4,000 metres, 1, 2, 3 acres.
Yep, up to that 5.
Yep, up to 5. How have we seen the last, little while in this sort of little section?
So looking back on the the winter quarter, we've had the numbers starting to come through. There's been a fair few transactions happening, a lot more than the last couple of years. Yep. There's still limited stock, so that's been the biggest influencer. Roughly around 20 properties we saw sell over the winter period, so that's quite a good number. Yeah. Coming off the back of the last few years, as I say, very limited stock in that period. Yep. There is still high demand for it. We're seeing significant inquiries. We just had the property over there at 190 Vaughan's Lane hit the market. Quite a large number there of inquiries coming through. I
think it was 80 plus.
Yeah. Basically way above the average for most other properties. Strong interest, range of buyers still looking for the small acreage as well. Yep. Unfortunately, not everyone can get up to that sort of million mark, so there is still quite a good inquiry level there.
And we'd probably say this is the most popular category.
Definitely.
By far. Yeah.
You're still seeing a lot of families wanting that, a lot of downsizers, retirees coming off larger properties, and a lot of people making a lifestyle change that are still moving to town working, wanting a little bit more space where they can have a bit of room to move. So definitely one of the categories that is ticking the box for a lot of people.
And most likely, I guess if you could put a number on it, this is a big range because there's such a big variety of lifestyle small acres. What are you seeing price-wise? Is there a gap?
Price-wise, basically lowest number that you possibly may come across is if you can find something for around that 550, you're doing really well. That is very rare, and you're looking out of town areas for that. Yep. Generally speaking, anything within that half an hour of town, you're more so looking at the 800 to the mil mark, if not plus, depending on the property.
And obviously there's been a couple of big ones over the Long Yard Golf Course, I think 1.7 and 2.1 as well, which is huge. Next category we'd probably say medium acres, or if that's such a term, 10 to 25. I haven't really seen too much of these popping up on the market. How'd that sort of section go?
Yeah, look, that section at the moment is still very hard to find. Yep. We saw over winter there was roughly about 15, 16 of those properties go through. Again, that is Tamworth and greater region. Yep. So there's still properties turning over, but not a great deal of them, not the numbers that we used to see. Yeah. So obviously they appeal a lot more to people with either motorbikes or horses, a few livestock. We've seen some great figures coming out of that range. So generally speaking, pricing for that is mil plus. Yeah, right. Top price for the winter period actually hit 3.5 for 25 acres. So 3.5 million, 25 acres, right on the borderline of town there. Beautiful. Basically,
it's a good result.
Fantastic result. Obviously, not everything's up that range, but generally speaking, you're going to be around the mil mark plus.
Now, larger acreage, obviously out of my comfort zone. I'll go up to about 25 and passing over to Steph. Now, large acreage, before we go, what are we talking? Are we talking 100 to like a couple of thousand, or what are we?
Yeah, we didn't actually see really any getting over the 1,000 sort of acre mark there over the winter period. We saw a couple there at the 450 acres, give or take. There wasn't a great deal though. There was only 8. Yeah, right. So looking back over the last 6 or so months, there's been a really strong demand for those properties. They're very, very hard to find. There's a lot of people that have been looking for the last 6 to 12 months at least that still haven't found anything, if not longer.
What's the pricing like in that bracket?
Pricing on that is very varied. Yep. You do have a range of style of properties, so you've got anything from grazing properties to cropping properties to more lifestyle acres still, where you may have a couple hundred acres that is 70 bush, 70 usable.
Yep.
So pricing on that can range anywhere depending on the style of property and the house on it. Anywhere from basically that sort of just over the mill mark for properties that aren't quite as usable or that don't have quite a larger house on it. They're very hard to find. Up to basically that 3.5, pushing the 4.5, depending the properties.
Still strong, isn't it?
There's a lot that have been selling off market, so a lot that are going before they hit the market. And as I say, it's due to the competition for the buyers.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot here. Your partner does stock, so it's a good combination, large rural and stock. Has he told you how the stock market's going? Not that, and when I say stock market, I'm not talking about Wall Street. We're talking about cows and bulls and stuff like that. So has he commented on if that's healthy or?
Yeah, it's still going strong. So obviously having stock of our own and being involved in all that, along with the rural property side, we're still seeing some good numbers coming through for the stock. Obviously the wet weather's held off numbers locally for a little while. The pricing is still up there. Still strong. Obviously retail wise, a lot of people are still seeing that too. But prices for both sheep and cattle are quite up there still. And that's being pushed a lot by, obviously, the good seasons we're having.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, lastly, crystal ball, once again, I'll put you on the spot where we won't hold you to it. We've got a forecast for a pretty wet spring and summer, which I hope not. I want to get to the beach, but how do you think this will impact? We talk about, 4 or 5 years of drought we went through, which had a big impact on this lifestyle and acreage that we're discussing. COVID really didn't have too much of an
COVID helped us.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think the wet season will do?
So going into, obviously we're actually more into a extended La Nina period. That's going to help drive everything along. So when we're talking smaller acres, so your lifestyle, small acres, 10 to 25, obviously things are going to look nice and it's still going to stay looking really good, so it's going to be quite an attraction for a lot of people and just help with presentation in general. When we're getting to larger acres though, it has set us up for a really good spring and summer. As you say, falling off in the years of drought, we didn't have that set up. It was hard to know whether or not we're going to get the rain coming through for those seasons. Preparation, dams are full, water tables lifted back up, so obviously irrigation wise that's fantastic as well. Everyone can get going with no worries on that sector. And in terms of preparing for crops for end of year, early next year, we've got really good soil moisture content there. Everything's pushing along well, so we've got nice feed coming through. The crops were a little bit late this year, so I know quite a few people around have said that their oats didn't quite go as good as early as they hoped, but they've all just come in basically lately and started really good. So
just need a bit of sun.
H2O and sunshine, that's what makes the grass grow, so yeah, definitely set us up well.
Hope you've enjoyed obviously this little rundown on Acreage. Steph, thanks for coming in and discussing all that for us. We'll put some information below. If you've got any questions in regards to large acreage, obviously Steph's the lady to speak to. We'll put her details below there for you. And in regards to anything else, I'll put the office number and email there so you can get in touch. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the little bell. That'll give you an alert anytime we do the next video. But until next week, thanks again for watching. Take care.